We'll call the meeting of the Door County Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, April 21st, and rise and say the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We can always say there's no pause in between us. It's supposed to be together.
Roll call.
Here.
Not here.
John.
Oh, Jesus.
Ken Fisher.
He's sleeping.
Okay, we have 19 present and 2 excused. Review and revision and reaffirming of the rules of order and the duties of the standing committees. This is on there because this is the time that we organize the meetings, and you got the one rule that we wanted to change, or the one on minutes? There's only one rule that I think the administrative committee came up. It's John Ninus rule. And what it is that when you're at a meeting and there's not a unanimous vote, that you record both sides of the issue. What happened is that, and it doesn't happen very often, there was a 2-2 tie and they didn't know who could bring it back on the floor the next time, so he said they should be recorded on the minutes of the meeting when the vote is not unanimous. Okay?
Correct, and that'll be placed in the rules of order both where the county board provision is and where the subunits of county board provisions are. And it'll be amended like in both sections.
Do we need a motion on this and everything?
Unless there's other changes.
Is there any other changes that anybody wants to make? Somebody want to make a motion to have the rules as presented then? Don City, a second by John Cook. Any other questions? David?
So the intent would be to record the names of the yea and nay?
Yes,
Nothing addition to that?
that's correct. Unless someone's got some ideas, but I guess nobody does, so. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead, Kathy.
I just have one question, like if, say there's 5 members and 4 of them vote aye and it passes and if 1 votes against, or 4 against and 1
Yeah.
aye, would you note that so-and-so voted
Yes.
the opposite?
Yes,
So that
that's the
they can
idea of it.
also, I mean, it's not just an
Occasionally,
aye.
what is it, they can bring it back and, yeah.
Right,
make it-
right.
Any vote that's not unanimous, record who they are. Okay, presentation of agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Chuck Brand. All in, is there any additions or anything? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Correspondence? We have the letter on the unassigned fund balance, a thank you letter from the Door County Humane Society, and then 2 letters from Historical Society, placing a nomination, a shipwreck and 2 shipwrecks actually, the Hanover and its success. Anybody have any questions on them? Leo, you know where that is in Sebastopol?
No idea.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions on that? If not, we'll go to public comment. Anybody in public want to speak? We'll be out by 10 o'clock. Since nobody wants to speak, there's no supervisor's response. Administrative monthly report.
There will be none this month.
Rolling on.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Please, nobody.
Minutes of the March 24th, 2015 regular meeting. Someone like to make a motion?
Make a
Motion by
to
Kathy,
approve.
seconded by Susan. Is there any subtractions or additions to it? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's passed. Pending business. Okay, I'm gonna, every month, put on the ad hoc EMS study committee until they're done, and also the Human Services Resource Center, and that'll probably be on for a year or so. So, does Susan, you got anything on admin? I mean, on I see Dan is back there
Dan,
someplace.
you wanna do just a statement?
Dan, you wanna give us a short rundown?
Emphasize short.
Morning.
Good morning.
The ad hoc building committee meeting, I believe, the members here can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe will have their last meeting on May 5th. It appears as though everything has been looked at upside down, crossways, and inside out, and they made several recommendations at the committee level at the last meeting, and those recommendations now will be formalized at the next meeting with motions moving forward to the appropriate committees that should receive action items. So that will definitely, I think, put the end to that subcommittee for the purpose that they were put together, which was to look at locations, timing of those locations, and addressing some of the concerns and questions that were out in the community. I think we've done a pretty good job of addressing everything and answering all of the questions fairly conclusively. May 6th, okay, I misspoke, May 6th is that meeting. By that time, we will have some preliminary drawings and cost estimates for a Sturgeon Bay standalone station to replace the current station, and then a satellite station that is a standalone satellite station. The question has come up, is it more or less expensive to partner with somebody in a building process of a station, or is a standalone satellite type station a better deal for the county? So we'll have cost estimates on that by that time as well, and drawings for a satellite type station. That will be also in time for that ad hoc committee, and so that information will be able to move forward. Beyond that, we still have to make the decision on the land as far as where that station is going to be for Sturgeon Bay. We do have an offer on the table from the hospital that the committee has discussed, and there's still some question as far as whether they want to accept that offer or look at some other options for that offer. The offer that's on the table is to swap lands with the hospital where we are located now and go to a different piece of property that they own on Michigan Street, and have another lease arrangement like we have. The other part of the discussion has, would it be better to buy property for that location, for a location. So that one is yet to be officially dealt with. That's something that will move forward to one of the standing committees to really filter that process out. Beyond that, I think that's primarily, Susan, that's primarily what we've been doing and where we're going. But I think most of the committee members feel as though that should be the last meeting for the group. I would like to take the opportunity to also thank the county board for the additional staff that was voted into the last year's budget process. Since the first of the year, so it's been roughly 3.5 months, we have had 172 more calls than we had last year at the same time. That is significant under anybody's gauges, and I don't know how we would have done it without the extra personnel. So again, I thank you for allowing us to serve the community in a better fashion. Any questions about any of that?
Yeah, is there a reason for that, extra calls? Or
Well, it's
something
all
specific
across
in
the board.
county?
You know, I've tried to analyze that and look at it. It's just more of everything that we do. And as I said at our ad hoc building committee and at our emergency services committee, frequently I say this, is that, you know, EMS is starting to be the gateway into the hospital, where people who don't have primary care physicians, things like that, this is their way to get in the door and get care, and then they get the referral process. Plus, I think a lot of people who don't know, there's just a lot less people now that have primary care physicians. And so that's part of the process. We have an older population. We know that we're, from an age standpoint, one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing, population of age shift, if you will. And we look at our calls and how many people we have. Every month we look at it to see if what's the average age of our patient. and the average age of our patient is continuing to grow. You know, it kind of narrows out a little bit during the summer when we have a little bit more tourist clientele, but primarily the average ages of our patient is in the upper 60s. So we're seeing, you know, just people with more needs. You know, I've tried to analyze it, think, well, okay, there was a lot of flu this winter, but we didn't really see a lot of patients that were relative to the flu. And we had some breathing issues, things like that. But we're just having more of virtually every type of call we go on. So again, thank you for allowing us to serve those people in a timely fashion, and they appreciate it too, I know.
Thank you, Dan. Well, Chuck.
Yeah, I guess while Dan's there, it's nice to know a month ago when we had our EMS meeting, the union stepped forward with a letter of support for Dan, which I think is kind of unique. Less than a year on the job, or about a year, and the union supports very strongly the moves and responsibilities he's taken on to make them move forward.
Okay. Go ahead, Ken.
Those calls aren't freebies, right? People that use the ambulance service do get billed for it?
Yes, they do. The only calls that we don't bill for is if we don't transport. So if somebody's fallen out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and they just need a lift assist, we go and do that, and then we don't charge for that. Because we don't want to because you never know when they get hurt or not. We don't want to discourage them from calling, so we don't charge for that. Only if we transport. We all might be there someday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next one is Human Service Resource Center that we're going to put on every month. There was a meeting that Leo and I and Dave and Mark were at the Senior Citizen Center. I don't know who else might have been there. Mark, you want to start off, and you got anything to say?
Well, basically, it was a list, they had 2 listening sessions to get input from the users and the general public on what they might think it should be used for and what it should look like. And there's lots of meetings going on with the architects, and they are working diligently to get something back here for the county board in June.
Both Leo and Dave are working with the architects. Dave or Leo, you got anything to add to that right now?
I would just mention that I was impressed with the architects and the amount of time that they spent in the process that they went through trying to be ultra inclusive of all the potential users and stakeholders in the process.
Leo, you got anything to add to that?
That was on March 14th, and we're due for a conference call either Wednesday or Thursday of this week. Our next meeting is scheduled for the core group on May 5, and we hopefully we'll have something back for your June meeting.
Okay. And Roy, he's involved with Friends of the Senior Citizen Center. I talked to you before. Has the application come back yet or not? Or?
Yes, the application has not come back, and all the money's been sent to the federal government, so we expect to have our full 501(c) formalized in about 4 to 6 months. But any donations right now are tax deductible as of January 1st of this year, so it's a going thing.
Good. Anybody got any questions? If not, we'll go to the resolution. First one is a proclamation of Travel and Tourism Week. Would someone like to make a motion to approve that? Motion by Susan, seconded by Joel. I'll just read the last, now therefore be resolved, and then we'll take a vote, and then Jack Moneypenny is going to give a brief talk on this. The resolution says, now therefore be resolved that the Door County Board of Supervisors does hereby support and promote May 2nd, 2015 as a Travel and Tourism Week in Door County, and urges the citizens of Door County to join in the special observance with appropriate events and commemorates. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed. Go ahead, Jack. Sure, come on up.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to stop in this morning just to say thank you very much for supporting tourism, truly one of our legs in the county that supports so many of our businesses, our members, and our individuals. Over the last 6 years, since we really started pushing tourism hard, with room tax revenues. We've seen a steady, consistent growth year over year in the last 6 years. And we start in 2009 when all of your communities signed on and became part of the 19 communities that make up the tourism zone. And I have to tell you that steady, good growth has not gone unused. Every year we invest those dollars very well, and I think that we then in turn are able to bring more back to the county. For Tourism Week, you know, it is something that is a national event from May, it always the first full week in May. And again, I just appreciate your support and the way you've helped us over the years continue to do our mission. Is there any questions at all? No?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much
I
again.
invited Jack to come back maybe in May or June, because then he'll have the statistics from last year and tell us, he doesn't have the final statistics, and speak on what the impact of tourism in Door County.
You know, I will tell you, if I could just interject one more statement. The resolution you voted on, the numbers that are located in that resolution are from 2013, because 2014 numbers, actually, I just got the draft of them yesterday and saw them, and there is a comfortable, significant growth for the county year over year. So when you see the actual numbers, and as Dan said, I'd be happy to come back at some point and do a 10-minute overview on what we're working on, why it's working, and give you up-to-date numbers. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next resolution is the Door County Revolving Loan Program Policies and Procedure Manual. Richard Haytens, you want to make a motion to approve?
I would make the motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second by Mark Miller. Are you going to explain it, or is the guy over your back going to tell us about it?
Is Sam here? Oh, there he is. I got it. Okay, well, it's a revision revision to the policies and procedures manual.
Over the entire history of the revolving loan fund program, we have always had a requirement that for every $20,000 the program lends, we required one full-time equivalent position either created or retained. The state Department of Administration is now asking all municipal community development block grant funded RLF programs to raise that to $35,000 for every one job created or retained.
Okay. Has anybody got any questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. The next item is the Door County Revolving Loan Fund Application Glide NEW LLC. Richard, you want to make a motion to approve that?
I will do that.
Is there a second? Second by Chuck Brand. You want to go ahead?
Sure. You can see the terms of the loan. This is Segway the Door, Glide NEW, doing business as Segway the Door. They're looking to purchase the former Door County Kite property just north of Fish Creek and establish their business there, giving them significant visibility that up until now that business has not had. Successfully run this business for 10 years and grown it tremendously over that time period.
Okay. We'll take a roll call on this one. Anybody got any questions first? If not, we'll take a roll call on this, so we got it. That way we make Jill do something yet. Yes. It's good practice. That passed on a vote of 19 yes, 2 absent. Next item is the next one is the snowmobile trail aid.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
Don, you said Mr. Whaling is here, correct?
Yes.
We have a resident here that came before us at RPC, Mr. Whaling.
Okay,
And if it's okay, we could go to, I would ask that we go to ordinances, go to 29 and 3031.
okay,
On the Zoom to take care of that.
sure, sure. You want to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion to accept the report.
okay,
I'll second it.
okay. You want to explain it then?
Sure, just let me
I
get
think
there.
Mariah was back there, but I guess she,
No, this one should be simple enough that even I can explain it. And I'll just start by reading it. Mr. Whaling petitions for an amendment to the detailed zoning map of the town of Liberty Grove to change the zoning district classification of the upland portion of 3 parcels from Heartland 5 to General A. All right, and Mr. Whaling is requesting to rezone the upland portion of these parcels. Let's see, what is it? In order to establish an agricultural visitation facility on these properties. An agricultural visitation facility is allowed by conditional use permit in the general ag zoning district. So he needed to get this zoning changed so he could apply for the conditional use permit, which we approved also.
Okay. Does anybody got any questions? If not, all in favor of the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we have the
Now,
amendment
Mr.
to the
Chairman.
zoning map.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we approve the amendatory zoning ordinance 2015-04.
I'll second it.
Okay. You got them, done. Is there any questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I got a roll call, done. See,
Just kidding.
just checking, you know, see if you catch it. Yeah. Let's keep you on your toes and see if we need it or not.
He's in a hurry, isn't he?
Right.
Take over.
That has passed at a vote of 19 yes and 2 absent.
Thank you.
And
Thanks.
it should be added, Mr. Chairman, that one, there were 3 items on that RPC meeting, 3 agenda items, and we all commented after that it's too bad they don't all go this smoothly, because we had fun with it and everybody was in good mood. There was no confrontation. It was a welcome change.
Good. Due to great leadership, I'm sure.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
No, the committee members might say differently.
Okay. Next item is county snowmobile trail aid. Biz, would you like to make a motion to approve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Make a motion to approve the resolution 2015-28 county snowmobile trail aid for the 2015-16 snow season.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead and explain it.
I'll read the now therefore be it resolved that the Door County Board of Supervisors does hereby approve application for funds under section 230926 Wisconsin statutes for aid to counties for snowmobile purposes. If successful, that would be the only money used by the county, and there should be no fiscal impact on the budget for this item. So this is an annual thing we apply every year for snowmobile trail aid.
Has anybody got any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has passed. Next one is County Roads Bridges Fund, transfer of non-budgeted funds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion, we approve resolution 2015-29.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Kathy. Go ahead and explain it.
As we're all aware, we have winter, so we have snow removal issues. Every year, the county board is asked to either add to or subtract from the County Roads and Bridges Fund based on the snow removal actual cost for the prior season. If you read the memo or the resolution as presented, this is for the 2014 snow season that we're referring to, and it takes until this time of the year in 2015 to get the fund closed out. As a result of the extra snowfall that we had in 2014, the budget for the County Highway Department was over budget by $455,335.31. This resolution authorizes us to take from the unassigned fund balance that amount and transfer it to the Roads and Bridges Fund to make that fund whole for snow removal for 2014.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? This could be roll call too, doesn't it? Okay. Anybody got any questions on this? Okay, we have to go to the roll call vote here. Richard Haynes. Okay, passed on 19 yes, 2 absent. Next item is the county appointment of committees and commissions and boards. This is our organizational meeting. Could I have a motion to approve the ones we're going to tell you about? So moved.
Second.
Who made the motion? Oh, John. Grant, you want to tell them who we changed?
Well, the most recent change, there should have been a memorandum at your desk this morning addressing the appointment of 3 members to the Regional Comprehensive Community Services Steering Committee. This is a body that was created by the Comprehensive Community Services Program, and the 2 previous resolutions that were adopted, in particular 2014-65, which approved an agreement with Kewaunee and Shawano counties. That intergovernmental agreement provided for the creation of the steering committee and its members being appointed by the chief executive officer of each county. It's my considered opinion that although that's what the intergovernmental agreement says, the best practice is for us to follow the standard process where the county administrator nominates and the county board confirms appointment. And I have brought forward 3 nominations for appointment to the Regional Comprehensive CCS Steering Committee, that being Sandy Hilmer, Barb Snow, and Seth Wiederanders. In addition, in your packet, there were changes to the long-term support planning committee, the addition of Lauren Dost and Tabitha Will. And I think that was it.
The 2 members on the library board are going to probably be appointed tonight at the city council meeting, so they're not filled in. And the ad hoc fair study committee is over with. We took that off. And we are no longer a sponsor of Glacier and Resource, and that is taken off. So those are, I think, all the changes. Yeah.
And the highway committee, for the first time, the last time around, we elected it for the entire term, so we're not doing the election midterm. So.
Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has passed. Next item is opposition to countywide assessment initiative in the proposed Wisconsin state budget. Susan, you want to make a motion? And
Yep, I move that we pass resolution 2015-31 in opposition to the proposal that is in the proposed budget regarding assessment.
okay, is there a second? Second by Kathy. You want to explain it? or-
Yeah, I think a lot of people on the county board are pretty familiar with this, especially if they have involvement in their towns. But this was a proposed change that was in the proposed budget, and it would take the task of assessment from the local municipalities and give it to the county without appropriate funding or even a very good plan to have that transfer happen. And it, as far as I can tell, has not been popular with anybody, and there has been a lot of town resolutions, village, city resolutions, and county resolutions against it. And I am told that it has been taken out of the budget by the Joint Finance Committee. But until the budget is passed, it's not for sure that it's dead. So I suggest, even though it sounds like this is on life support, we should still oppose it and add our nail to the coffin.
Okay, are there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has passed. Rescind exercise of option to purchase the Cherry School is what it basically is. Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Biz, seconded by David Anigo. Go ahead, Biz.
At the property committee, it's come to light that it's a considerable amount more money that would be needed to purchase the property, to our option to purchase the property. When it was approved to look into it, it was $38,000, and now we're looking at $69,520. And it's come to light by at least a realtor, not an appraiser, that that $69,520 is basically probably about what the property is worth. So in light that there's really no big profit to be made here, it was past that property to rescind our exercise of option to purchase and basically walk away from it.
Go ahead, David.
I would just add that the recommendation was also sent on to the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee concurred with the recommendation of property.
Okay. Does anybody got any questions?
The only comment I'll make is there was a few of us that were against this to begin with, and it was probably worth looking into because maybe there was a potential there to get some money for the taxpayers, but the way it's turning out, it's not there, so.
A question for Grant, is the county obligated in any way as far as finances situation, or is just you walk away from it?
No, we will give notice of our rescission of the exercise of the option to purchase, and that will allow the current owners to go ahead and market the property for sale. We have no obligation above and beyond.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Richard?
I just wanted to add that I was kind of for this at the beginning and did change at the property committee meeting that it probably wasn't being the additional cost that we would have, that which we don't know what that is, I don't think, but it probably wasn't desirable. But I want to add that I think it maybe is misinterpreted that the property is worth $60-some thousand. That's the property alone, the land, not the building. So, you know, maybe you might understand that too, but the property alone is worth the $60-some thousand according to the thing, not the building.
Okay.
So,
right. Are there any other questions? Leo?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody that I was opposed to this from the onset, and it took a while before everybody realized what we were trying to do or not do, and the people actually ran the building or the child care service for about 30 years, and I'm sure that they do have some debt that they would like to clear up. So it's almost like capturing their profit in the event that we wanted to take it back. So I'm glad to see that everybody is starting off the spring with the spring in the right direction.
You're assuming the vote's going to be positive.
It'll be unanimous.
Is there any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was unanimous. Dissolution of the Northeast Wisconsin Long-Term Care District pursuant of state statute 46289513. Go ahead, Mark.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second to that? Second by Susan. You want to explain it, Mark?
Certainly. Basically, it's a formality. We formed a long-term care district in MCO to provide family care services to the 7-county region of northeastern Wisconsin. The state decided to go in a different direction, gave the family care contract to 2 other MCOs, and by state statute, the district has to dissolve its board itself first, then to the counties, and then to DHS. So the board has dissolved. Now the county needs to do its part, and then the state signs off on it.
Okay. Does anybody got any questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's passed unanimously. How about the dissolution of Northeast Wisconsin Long-Term Care District pursuit, yeah, well, wait a second, I mean, Human Services Resource Center project funding. David, do you want to start this off?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2015-34, the Human Services Resource Center project funding.
I'll second it.
I'll try my best to attempt the explanation. If you recall, back in January, the county board approved the resolution to establish a plan or blueprint for how we would move forward on the Human Services Resource Center. And Finance was asked to come up with a funding mechanism, if you will. And what the Finance Committee is recommending is that Door County pledge a sum of $2 million towards the estimated $4 million cost of the project, as we currently know. The Friends of the Senior Center intends to fundraise also and come up with the balance of the funds to actually get the project off the ground. In addition to that, we're asking that the $2 million that we would pledge from the county not be reduced by any money that the Friends or any other organization would get donated. Meaning, if the project ended up costing $3.5 million, the $2 million that the county pledge would not be reduced. Or if the Friends got extra money beyond the $4 million, that the $2 million not be reduced. The intent of the Friends group is to continue fundraising and continue in a long-term project, much like our Friends of the Parks do, and continue to provide other services, projects, or goods for the Senior Center, Human Services Center going forward for many, many years to come. So that would be one of the underlying things to consider in this resolution.
You could also mention that of the $2 million that we promised, there is X number of dollars already in the budget and reserved.
There's close to $1 million currently in reserve or in line items that would be dedicated towards this. So the additional $1 million, as we go through the budget cycle this year, we would look at where that would come from, either any one of a number of sources, including potential borrowing.
Correct. Are there any questions?
I guess the other thing I would add is, part of the fundraising issue is we wanted to set a target. So we wanted to set a commitment on our behalf. We also wanted to set a target for people that were interested in donating.
Correct. Ken?
Yeah, if I understand this right, Door County is pledging $2 million. We don't go above that, is what we're saying, correct?
That's correct at this time.
Okay. I'm for this. This is a good project, the way this is done, that we have private input into it and donations. This is the way to do it. The one problem I have on both lines 15 and 35, we discussed what Mr. Lino has just said, where we will not go below the $2 million. I have a little problem with that. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. But suppose we had some real generous donor come forward and say, listen, if it's $3.5 million or $4 million, I'm going to take care of it. I will donate that. I don't see why the county would have to have the $2 million up there then. And so I just have a little problem with that, because that, it may not happen, but it could. Why would we pay the $2 million? And certainly we wouldn't want to build just because we had it. If somebody offered $4 million, for us to say, well, we're pledging $2 million, so now we'll build a $6 million project. You know, the simple thing is to build it. The difficult thing is to maintain it. And if we have more money and we say, well, now we can build a bigger one and hire even more staff and make it more grandiose, that's just going to bite us long-term in maintenance and staffing. And I just have a problem with that.
I don't know if we'll get that lucky, but I think we could probably address that if it does happen. Otherwise, I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Like I said, I'm not going to make a big deal of it, but it just hit me that.
Part of the reason, but some people say, well, why don't you get a bid and all that, and then you know what the exact dollars are, and et cetera, et cetera. Did they say 7% of the total cost is what it costs to get final building plans? So you don't want to go out and get a final building plans at 7% of the total, which in this case would be $280,000. It includes some other things, and then turn it down. You know, so this is more or less a promise that we're going to follow through, not knowing the exact cost until we get the final building plans. And then if the final bid comes in at $5 million, you only got $4 million, then you start to cut back like you did at the Justice Center and the jail and all that. If you remember, we started to go over 30 million at the time, and we downsized, correct, Biz?
Yep.
After we found out the final cost, so.
I guess I would also point out, as mentioned in the resolution, this would bring, phase 2 is going to come hopefully in July. And then phase 3, you'd have to have the money in place before we move forward. So there's still 2 more cuts at this by the county board to discuss once we get better numbers and we know actually what we'd like to do with the building.
But this also tells the Friends of the Senior Citizen Center, if they do raise, say, $2 million, we're gonna go through with it.
Right.
You know. Go ahead, Dave.
I'd like to say that I kind of echoed at the Finance Committee, very similar concerns that Ken had, except that I wasn't thinking of it in the sense that we guaranteed 10 million or 2 million and another person guarantees the full cost and we would just simply add the 2 million. My concern was that I wanted to voice was I see it happen too often where George decides to give $2 million, but we have to agree to put in a $50,000 hot tub or something like that. You know, an expense that will cost us money in the long run to maintain. I want this building to remain being reasonable.
Well, I think the property committee is going to be in charge of it. And, they should watch, I know what you're saying, they should watch that, so it doesn't happen. So, any other questions? We'll go to roll call vote.
I don't know, kind of like a pickleball clip.
It's a good example, though. 89-year-old, really?
That is passed with a vote of 18 yes, 1 no, and 2 absent. Next item on the agenda is the Position Request Information System Department. David, do you want to make a motion for that?
Actually, I'd prefer somebody else did.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Okay, motion by Don City,
Second.
second by Mark Miller. Who would like to explain it then?
Tim's not back there?
Tim, you want to?
Up front.
Wherever you want.
Go up front.
Up front.
Thanks for considering the request today, but we're looking at, if you, again, the packet was handed out today because of the nature of the subcommittee meetings, and we just met last week. If everybody's had a chance to read through it, it's basically reorganizing my department and setting up an Assistant Information Systems Director position this year, or as soon as possible. And basically, on the last page, you see a fiscal impact. I'm at a point, at this point, with taking on the Communication Advisory Technical Committee stuff, tower builds, and some of the other stuff with CATS, that I'm looking to implement a person in my department that basically handles more of the technical day-to-day network operations, and allows me to kind of step out and do what I'm supposed to be doing. So this was brought to the IS committee. We brought it then to the admin committee, who basically sent us back out to go out and compare this job against the market and then do the Whipley study. And so they came back with that recommendation, which is also in there, and then placed this position, as described, into our current compensation plan. Okay? And if you look at the last page again, which is, again, to outline the fiscal impact, Mark is here, Kelly is here as well. But in essence, you have the min, the midpoint, and the max outlined. We would look to place this position in the mid-step, which would have a total salary and benefit increase in 2015 of $4,415.
Anybody got?
Better.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? We have Kelly back there too to answer. Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, I guess, Tim, is this, you're not adding staff, you're just promoting?
I would like
and
to
creating a
post this
position?
internally and look to fill it internally. No more staff. No additional staff.
John?
Does this open the floodgate for every department now to have an assistant director? The biggest snowstorm we ever had started with a single snowflake.
I guess that,
Very well.
very good. I guess, I note your concern, but I guess it's going to be up to us to make sure that we take each one on an individual basis, but I would hope it doesn't. Chuck?
Yeah, I guess in reading this at first, I thought if it was a new position, I would, probably question that because we're really growing a large department. But just like in the sheriff's department and in EMS, there's a second in command. And if something happens to the top person, there's somebody else to fill in. And I don't know who else would have your abilities, Tim, to be able to just say the unforeseen happens, to be able to just take over and keep it running smooth.
Right, and that is a part of it. But again, our department has actually shrunk in the last year. So we have not refilled the position. So you all understand that, okay? And we look not to refill that position with this restructure at this time. The snowflake is only driven by the winds that are blowing the snow, which is information technology. I'm sorry, but we're in demand. We have changed significantly in the last 5 years. We have added more systems. We now have the Justice Center coming off their 10-year installation, and we're putting in all new systems over there. We have inherited the radio system and its support. Our department has taken on more responsibility. That's the bottom line. And that is a direct result of your departments needing technology to do their job. And so, yes, it's a snowflake, it's a snowstorm, and it's keep coming. Global warming.
The five, if we were to do this and it was at mid-step, that 4,415 is in your budget from the position you didn't fill, or?
That's where I would propose to take it from fiscally in 2015, and then in 2016, we'll budget accordingly.
You have the money.
Yes. Now, I can't say that. My finance guy back there has to say, yes, that's probably where we would take that from. In other words, it's not new dollars that have to be come from somewhere else. It's in the IS budget at this time.
Is there any other questions? If not, Leo?
I'll just make the same comment that I made at administrative committee. Perhaps it's needed. I don't like the method that was used in obtaining the deputy position. And there are other problems, other items within the department that should have been addressed. And the mere fact of coming up with a deputy is not going to correct them.
David?
I'll echo his statements.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, we'll go to the voter board and vote it yes or no.
One other item that I think is important, we have a Whipley study out there, and we also have policies. And if we do this and continue to circumvent what is our policy, then we might just as well get rid of the other ones that we do have. At one time, we did not have any, never took at any, a new look at any promotions and or creation of positions until the end of the year prior to budget time. And I'm only here to tell you that this is going to be effective in the budget down the road, and budget is not going to be looked at until October. So I think someone else mentioned, are we doing this haphazardly? Are we looking at it individually? Are we going to treat the others the same way? And I appreciate John's comment with how the snowflake becomes a snow problem, and I would just encourage everybody to not look favorably upon this particular request at this time, and to deny the new position in the IS department.
Anybody else?
Am I allowed to respond?
Go ahead.
This position was looked at last year in lieu of the fact that we were not going to fill the position until June of the person that left. And in lieu of trying to still do that, this is part of that solution now, before June. And again, it's not circumventing the process. We've gone through the entire process of basically walking through all the steps to ask for a position. The only thing that's been circumvented here is the standard where you actually put this into your budget and work it through an annual process. But last year, at the admin and budget level, we mentioned that we were not going to fill one PC network specialist position and try to survive either with pro services or internal help. And so we're still trying to do that. So I disagree with Mr. Zipper's statements.
Mark?
Well, having some experience with some of the projects that have been going on lately and being the chairman of CATS, in order to get Tim to be able to do the admin work that Tim needs to do, get these contracts lined up and all that, he needs somebody to do the technical work. Now, I'm not sure that the position title is right, but that's what it is. That's what they decided on. But to have somebody to administer the technical end of these projects is imperative because they aren't getting done like they should be done. One suffers from the other. We need this position.
Okay. Any other questions or? Go ahead, David.
The other comment I will make is that creating another position is not changing the number of people working in that department.
Correct.
It in theory is finalizing, in my mind, any department should have had a second in command, whether or not there's a separate title or not. It should have been there already, and presumably and to some degree already is. As far as creating a new position and miraculously improving the operation of that business, of that department, that's not going to happen. I don't see how it can if you're just creating a position and not adding another personnel there.
Okay. Any other questions or statements? If not, go ahead, Richard.
I just want to say that maybe our director, IS director, was probably hired to run the department as best that he can do it, and the best and effective way to do it, and keep the best employees that he can keep. And I think we should allow him to be doing that and not intercede too much with some of the ideas or things that he has to do. I think that's a little bit wrong, even though we are the board that is above him, but it's an awful needed department, and like Tim says, that there is just so many things that are changing and new. You got to keep the good help. And if you don't keep doing some things and changing some things, you're going to lose the good help.
Okay. Don?
I echo that statement.
Okay. Ken?
I'm glad Dick brought that up because actually that's what we're doing here. We're creating a position, whether you want to admit it or not, we're creating a position to give an individual a raise so we can keep that individual. My problem is creating the position to give the raise. If we want to give the raise, give the raise. If it's the wrong time to give the raise, then don't. Don't cloak it into what it really is. The department's going to stay the same, the manpower's the same. We just want to give one individual a raise so that they'll stay. That's it. That's it. Tell it like it is. And I also find this, I know I voted for it at admin, but in thinking it through, I find it distasteful that we're doing it this way. And we're trying to snooker some members on the board by not telling them the facts. What's really being done here?
Tim, you want to respond to that?
There is no First off, there's no snookering. The fact of the matter is, and what Kenny is relaying to is, that was asked. That was asked at first time, and it was turned down by your HR director. So this isn't cloaked. This is going through your process that supposedly is circumvented. You can't do that. You didn't have a pay increase. You didn't have a bonus mechanism, okay? And what we did is then went back to what was actually being done by this person in the department on a day-to-day basis, and then took those things that he was doing and married it up with those job descriptions out there in county governments and city governments, and came back with those job descriptions and put it together, then gave it to Whitley to go back and say, what is that person worth? That is your process, and we walked through it. Nothing was cloaked.
I understand.
I want to guarantee you that that was asked.
And that is my problem.
Right.
That we're changing the title, we're creating the position to give the raise. But the bottom line is, we want to give the raise, and we as a board have adopted a system that makes that, if not impossible, very difficult to do right now.
It was difficult, but we're here today.
Yeah.
Okay? And I agree with Leo. It's out of your annual process. But again, at the end of last year, we started that process. We actually started the process even before that. Okay? But if you want to look at long-term succession planning for this department, okay, you need someone here, if I step out, to be able to run the department. And I can tell you that right now, that is handed over to Bob Mellenberg, who has the most experience. He's been here the longest. But I'd like it formally recognized that when I'm not around, we need the assistant IS director to run the show. Or available. 9 times out of 10, I'm in a meeting somewhere and I'm not available. And it's a technical issue that needs immediate attention. So this fits with what other counties and other cities in the state of Wisconsin have done with their IT and IS departments. So if I could have done what you just said, this would have been done in a couple of meetings. We would have done it in January. But we had to walk through your steps that you put in place. Nothing was circumvented.
Mr. David?
I'll try to make one more statement here. The gentleman we're talking about, by all accounts, is very good at what he does. No questions asked. I don't have any issues with that at all. It does look like Ken is saying we're creating a position for an issue related not to the position. That's why I posted IIS. When we adopted the Whippley report, there were 2 more pieces that still needed to be finished, that were going to be finished by June of this year, as I understood it. They may resolve the issue that, as Tim just said, we could, if they would have been implemented, an ability for him to use it would have been resolved in January underneath a couple of meetings. And if they get done in June, that would resolve that particular statement. I'll try not to make another statement.
Susan wanted to speak.
Yeah, if we have a problem with our process, then we need to address that separately from this one unique situation. And I'm not as informed on this as a lot of the other people that are here today, but it seems like this is not the same as giving a bonus to a person who does his job well. This is a realignment of the responsibilities of a person who essentially is not, who's doing more, has more responsibilities and more tasks than the job that he's supposedly titled at doing has. And so it would reflect that switch of responsibilities and where that fits in the marketplace. That's my understanding. Is that right?
That is a correct statement.
And if that's the case, then I don't have a problem with it. And maybe if we change whatever it is that's wrong with our process, then going forward, this doesn't happen this way again. That's, I guess, my comment.
Biz?
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to at least 3 supervisors or more that are kind of referring to this promotion or wage increase for a certain individual. And I did raise the question at admin that there are people in that department that are way more senior, been here a lot longer, in all fairness. And I was told, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there would be an interview process and they would analyze everybody in the department. But I'm hearing supervisors saying this is cut and dried to a certain individual that's going to get it. And I've got a problem with that.
I guess the answer to that is that this is just going to be a situation in that department, and all of them possibly could get the job. It isn't cut and dry.
Well, that's
Dan,
not what was being said here by
That's not true, and you
individuals.
know it. Don't make those statements.
honest.
You fool people like Susie
Would
because she
you-
doesn't understand it.
Oh, wait a
We
second,
know
Ken,
it.
no,
wait.
No offense, no offense, Susie, but
Have
she
Kim
looks at, she
respond to
listens to
that.
him.
Cover up.
You know what the deal is. Don't sugarcoat this.
All right. Then if you would like it to be internally posted, we can do that.
Why
The
wasn't?
decision's
All
already
right.
been made. The decision's already been.
Why
made.
has the decision been made? Would you like to know?
Doing the work.
Right. Capability. Period. And if you want to come up to my department, I'll sit all of you who have questions down and I'll go through it with you one-on-one or as a group. I'm more than happy to do that, okay? I have statistical stuff to show you. But the fact of the matter is, the technical work is being led by one person, okay? That person does a great job at it, is highly qualified, all right? And supports our infrastructure in a way that no one else in the department can. All right? If you want to go through the internal posting to give seniority, remember, I'm a salaried exempt shop. There is no such thing as seniority. It's capability. We pay for capability. People in my staff have certain capabilities. They're not all the same. But when it comes to a technical capability, I need that. I got to have that. I got to have somebody that can continue to develop that. And right now, this person has demonstrated over the last 5 to 7 years that they can do that.
And Tim, I understand that.
Right.
And I truly don't have a problem with it.
Right. And so
My
what I'm asking
problem
is,
let me finish. My problem is, it's being done in a way that circumvents the system. You're using that title to give them the raise. They probably deserve. I'm not arguing that point. I'm saying I don't like the way it's being handled.
got it.
I would say if anything else, if there, no, vote on it and be done with it. Whatever way it falls, I'm okay with it. I'm just saying I don't like the way it's being handled. I would suggest, but I'm not gonna make any motion or anything. I would suggest we go back and rediscuss this for at least one more month and really tell it like it is, and then come back to the whole board and deal with it on a more open, in a more open manner.
To highlight the fact that the way it's been handled, all right, is the process that you've outlined, Susie. Every I has been dotted, every T has been crossed, per your process. The only part that's not followed is the fact that it's out of your annual budget cycle for new positions. That's it.
Kathy?
Dan, I think the problem is with the Whipley compensation thing that we're stuck with. The only way you can give anybody, the way I understand, the only way you can give anybody a raise is to change their title, because everything in the Whipley went by title, the way I see it. So in order to give this individual, whoever he may be, she may be, in order to give that person that raise because they're doing the work or whatever responsibility, you have to change the title. Because they bunched, with the Whipley, they bunched people in a category by title, and it had nothing to do with their responsibility, which unfortunately is not a good idea, because they're all different. You can't, I don't care, you know, you may decide to call somebody one thing, Jill might call it another thing, and then you're stuck with the same thing, but they have more responsibility.
Correct.
And you can't do anything with it, unless you go this route.
Chuck, but Leo has his hand up before. Leo, or you want to say something, or?
No, we as an administrative committee have been looking at the Whipley report, and we have decided that we're going to take another look at it down the road piece.
Correct.
Also, to be implemented would be the merit system or the bonus, as Susie was talking about. And I have to agree with Ken's comment and with Biz as well. This kind of like flies in the face of what we're trying to do, and we're going to one individual rather than to incorporate all the employees of the system. So short of me making a motion to lay this over, maybe we should just go to the vote and see if it has any merit on a roll
Chuck?
call vote.
Chuck?
Yeah, I guess, Tim, I quite often ask you this question. Would there be a problem putting this off until the budget cycle gets going and running it through the regular process and giving the committees the time to get the proper wording in place to be able to recognize a person like this and create that position?
Yes, I do believe we will have a problem within my department, not only with this person, but with others who have opportunities in front of them with their skill sets.
So it's all cut and dry.
John?
I see our HR person is in the back of the room. Could we ask her if right now there is a policy or procedure to give an individual a raise?
Very good question.
Kelly? Did you hear the question?
I think
Pardon, what?
I think too often we just use it as a method to not make a decision on it by our own, and then we, rather than have anyone do some real research on it, we blame Whiffley for not addressing it. But this needs a whole bunch more study, and I'll allow Kelly to go. I don't know if we have a policy that she's following or not following, or what's happening there. Good question, John.
Did you hear John's question, Kelly, back there?
I did.
Okay.
We are following the policy that's in place right now. There is not a venue for just providing a raise, and there's not any criteria or outline that we've identified to just randomly give that raise. I am working on that, as David stated, Susie stated, that is coming forward in June as part of the performance evaluation process and bonus. Or, yes, or merit. So the bonus is separate from the performance and merit. So those are two distinct avenues for increases, which will be identified when I come forward with a draft in June. Right now, we're doing a pilot on that and the new evaluation process.
Correct. David?
I will try to make this my last comment. I've been led to believe that if that actually comes in and functions, that to some degree in January 1st of 2016, that might resolve part of the reason this particular position has suddenly shown up. I have no issues with that position, per se. I'm not enthusiastic about how it showed up.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we'll go to the voter board, yes or no? There. Well, I gave everybody a chance, I think. That's good. This is the voting board. Good.
Mr. Cook.
I did. Do it again.
That is passed by 12 yes and 7 no and 2 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Next item is department annual reports. Did everybody get a copy of this or just in their Zoom? Just on Zoom. Just on their Zoom. Has anybody got any questions on the annual reports? I'm sure everybody's read them to the T. If not, no questions. No new business I know of. Oral committee reports? Biz?
Well, I don't know if this fits in, but I just wanted to make a comment. I don't know if it was a regular committee, but anyway, this past week we had legislative days in Madison, and there were, I think, 6 of the county board members that went down amongst a lot of other people from Door County. And for those that didn't attend, I would just like to make the statement that I think it was a very good response from the lawmakers, the legislators, when we talked about groundwater, and we talked about the beaches, some really important, very important issues. And I think the lawmakers that I spoke to understand that maybe the nutrient programs for the state of Wisconsin are in place, but maybe Door and Kewaunee County has got a little different situation with our karst area and very shallow soil or filtering. And I think we drew enough attention to the lawmakers that they're going to take a hard look. And I'm by no means against farmers and what they're doing, but maybe some of the restrictions and how things are done in Door and Kewaunee County is different than maybe many of the counties in the state. And I think it was just a really good exercise down there with you know, contacting the senators, all the assembly people, and making our case that this is a really, really big issue. The testing of the beaches, 34 beaches in Door County, more beaches than any county probably in America. And I think it went real well for those that weren't there.
Okay. Any other? Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. Two observations, or one observation and one comment. As we went to see our scheduled lawmakers, one of the persons that was with my group made the comment to the legislator, well, we have three legs to the stool. We have tourism, farming, and industrial. And he sat back, industrial in Door County? And I let it go for a while because we're not supposed to editorialize, but you know, I have a little trouble with that. And after about 5 minutes, I very politely asked about that point, and I said, I saw your reaction to industrial. I said, you know, in Sturgeon Bay, we have the shipyards, the shipbuilders. I said, in the industrial park, we've got Thermotron, a world leader in finishing systems. We have Hatco. They just built the plant in China. They ship all over the world. Travel Lift, and there may be others, and there probably are, but I thought of those three right away. I said, we have industrial. He says, you know, when I think Door County, I never think Sturgeon Bay. That was his quote to me. He thinks Door County is Carlsville North. That is what the perception of the rest of the state is for Door County. We need to do a better job selling it, that, hey, Sturgeon Bay is part of Door County, Southern Door has their pluses. It's all Door County. And that is something that we're gonna have to think on.
We're all down there.
And the other thing was, and Susie, this is something that you can give thought to for the next 2 years. When we go to, because you will probably be here in 2 years.
Susie.
And you put that together, and by the way, Susie did a real good job of coordinating all this and getting it set for us. She really did, her and her group. She deserves.
Roy.
One of the committee.
Yes, I know, but you deserve a lot of credit and your committee for putting this together and arranging everything.
Was too sick.
But in 2 years, when we go down, we better lobby for a change in those levy limits. We have been fighting that for years now, and you can only take off so many pencils and so many erasers from your workstation. At some point in time, you've got to spend some dollars. We've got to untie our hands, and I'm not talking about raising our taxes 20% a year or anything. But we have to lobby these legislators to give us some wiggle room on that levy limit. We've got to be able to do our job here. They pass those levy limits, and might as well get it out in the air. They pass those levy limits so they look good and can get reelected, and then they tell us sitting in these chairs, we'll operate on a nickel when we know it costs you a dime. Well, what good is that? And that message has to get out there to all the voters.
Kenny, I don't think we have to wait 2 years. You have the Wisconsin County Association. I think we got, right now, almost instantly, we can pressure them to lobby. They got some lobbyists that, you know, they would, and the rest of the state would be behind you on that. That's we don't have to wait 2 years. We can start right now if we want to.
And thank you for letting me editorialize a little bit.
Anybody else on oral committee reports? Anybody got any question on what we're, Biz? Okay.
Well, I failed to mention the other real important issue was that waterfront issue for Bay Ship. Bay Ship every year has freighters that come in for winter layup, and they usually have 16 or 17. And the freighters on the Great Lakes don't have a lot of options of where to go. They could get more freighters in here, but they don't have the room. And they're in year 2 of the dredging problem they have down there to make more room so they could get another 2 or 3 freighters in here, which is a lot more employment for jobs and a lot more economy for Door County. So that was a really big issue too. And if the lawmakers don't know what the problem is, it's hard to, what they were asking for is more grant money to continue their 3-year project to get more ships in here, and it's out there. It's just that they have to have the water depth and the room to get them in there. So that was another really big issue, and the lawmakers really listened to that.
Okay, go ahead, Ken.
By the way, I don't want to make enemies, but that legislator was from Sheboygan. He should have known better.
Go ahead. Anybody else? Anybody got any comments or questions on the minutes? Any on the vouchers, claims, and bills? Anybody got any questions? If not, to remind everybody, Door County Economic Annual Meeting is April 29th. The WCA conference is September 20th to 22nd. And the next county board meeting is May 26th at 9 a.m.
That being said, Mr. Chairman, if there's no
Wait,
further business
just
to be
wait,
transacted,
wait,
we're at
what?
the end of it.
What?
If there's no more business to be
Wait,
transacted.
just a second, I got one more thing.
One more?
One more. I'm sort of like Kenny, I got one more thing to say. You have to let Jill know very shortly if you're gonna go to, huh?
By the end of this week.
By the end of this week, whether you're gonna go to the WCA or not.
Why doesn't everybody just put their hand up and let her know now?
That's what I was going to ask. If they could have a show of hands of those that are planning on going, because I think Jill knows of some of us, but I'm not sure, if our name is on the list.
So all 21 are here right now. Can we just put our hands up?
19. No, 21.
Well, I could
I'm
run
sorry.
down the list here.
19.
You don't come so good.
No, well, especially when one seat's open here.
You wanna
That's a little obvious.
roll call? I'll roll call 'em here. I got a roll call. I will. I think I can get it right. Chuck, are you going? Where is it? Yes. John Burr?
Probably not.
Okay. Engelbert? Hanigo?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Gullickson?
Yes.
Haynes?
Yes.
Halsted?
Yes.
Cook?
Yep.
Core?
Yes.
Lino?
Yes.
Meyer? He's not here. Miller?
No.
Ninus?
No.
O'Connor?
No.
Runquist, Howie's not here. Schultz?
No.
City?
Yes.
Burley?
Yes.
Zipper?
Yeah.
There. I don't have 2 of them down there because they didn't. Now you can make
Now,
your
Mr.
motion.
Chairman, I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're making your way to stay home?